Hey there, everybody. Baty-Barr here, and welcome to episode 9 of the My Friends Are Amazing podcast. This week, me and my special guest discuss everything from sleeping in a hammock to snarky puppy. But first, let's catch up on some podcast news. And this week in podcast news, I just want to talk about last week's episode with John Coulter. It was pretty crazy. If you haven't listened yet, I highly recommend it. He was the first person, probably the last person ever, that I will interview that has punched Russell Crowe in the face. So if you're interested in what that's all about, check it out. His episode last week helped us blast right past the 600 listen mark for the lifetime of the podcast. And I'm pretty sure after this week's guest, we're going to push right past 750. Just a reminder for everyone who's listening, you can find episodes of this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. Just search My Friends Are Amazing in Google, and plenty of links to different podcast apps will come up. So pick the podcast app of your choice and hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're looking for something really fun and you're into digital assistants like Google and that woman's name that I can't say right now, or she will interrupt me on the podcast, you can just say, hey, digital assistant, play the My Friends Are Amazing podcast on TuneIn Radio. Give it a try. It's actually pretty fun. Today, as always, the podcast is brought to you by Social Imposter, reputation management for social networking profiles. Social Imposter is a customized service utilizing proprietary technology that finds and mitigates the removal of fake social network pages on behalf of high-profile brands, actors, athletes, models, musicians, politicians, military officers, business people, members of the clergy, and their management teams. So basically, if you're on social media and you are concerned about your reputation in that social media and want to protect your users and guests, and get those imposter pages removed, you need to reach out to Kevin Long at socialimposter.com. He will totally take care of you. The podcast today is also brought to you by The Bob and Kevin Show. Different Kevin, Kevin G. The Bob and Kevin Show streams live on YouTube every Monday morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And this week's episode is actually number 5. Nope, actually, we are going to have the episode is going to be January 1st. We're going to skip this week because that's Christmas Day, but we decided we're going to go ahead and do it on January 1st, bright and early. So tune in live on YouTube. Each and every week, except for Christmas Day, we kick off the week covering tech topics. We have a featured quiz and other special segments. We cover a little bit on the software Umbraco every week, so be sure to check us out. And we also have our own YouTube channel now. So just give that Google search for The Bob and Kevin Show, and our iTunes subscription comes up number 1, but our YouTube pages are right behind it. So go ahead and check those out. So let's talk about this week's guest. This week, my guest on the episode is Josh Baty-Barr. Josh is a college junior and is studying music business at Elmhurst College. He's always had a love for music and has recently discovered a love for the outdoors. In his free time, he likes to listen to music and spend time with people. He's employed as a barista and as a sound engineer in his hometown of Batavia, Illinois. And oh yes, he is my oldest son. So let's go ahead and just meet today's guest on the My Friends Are Amazing podcast, Josh Baty-Barr. All right. Hey, Josh, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. So you are home. Well, first, I guess we should a little bit who you are. You're my oldest son. How old are you?
I am 20 years old.
20 years
21 in June.
All right. So you are home on Christmas break.
Yeah.
And you are home on Christmas break from?
From Elmhurst College.
And where is Elmhurst in relation to our house?
It's like 40 minutes east towards Chicago.
Okay. So how often would you say that you come home to visit?
Not often.
Not often. So Christmas break is a decent amount of time for you to be home.
Yeah, 2 weeks we get off.
And then are you usually here all summer? Yes.
Yeah, last summer I wasn't though.
Okay.
Because of jazz.
And what'd you do last summer with jazz?
The Elmhurst College Jazz Band took a 2-week tour to Europe. We went to France, Italy, and Spain. Or sorry, not Spain, Switzerland.
And what do you do for the jazz band? Do you play in the jazz band?
No, I run sound.
But you do play in a jazz band.
Yeah, I play in the lower jazz band at Elmhurst, the jazz lab band is what they call it.
And what is it? Why do they call it the lab band?
I don't know. The Elmhurst College Jazz Band is like the top jazz band, and then the lab band is the second band.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's talk about the being home on break, because I think it's always I'm going to put words in your mouth. It's always an adjustment when you come home for when you're gone. Is that true or false? Or
I feel like it's more so an adjustment for you guys than for me. I can just come home and pick up where I left off.
Really? So there's no difficulty of an adjustment for you when you come home to stay?
No, not really.
I think some people in your peer group would say that it is a challenge for them to come home. Would you not agree? Or is this a parent-child disconnect?
I'm kind of unsure of your question. I would say that no, I don't want to discount it, because I'm sure that a bunch of my peers do feel that way. Just in my experience, I pick up, I bring some clothes back, and I come sleep in a different bed at my own house. When I was your age, I thought it was a challenge because the rule set, I think, was different between school and home. I did have that like my freshman year, the first year I came back. Sorry.
He said sorry because he kicked my chair.
I did. I made a noise on the podcast and he glared at me. Sorry. When I came back my first year, there were a bunch of weird rules. Mom was trying to do the whole like no cell phones in the kitchen, no cell phones like in your bedroom at night kind of thing. And I don't know, that definitely did make it a challenge because there was so much to adjust to, and I didn't kind of want to like play by the rules. But
in the grand scheme, though, those are still tiny rules. It's not like they were like major departures from, like, I would say, or I would guess that you get to come and go as you please at school, right?
Right. A little less so since I don't have a car on campus. So it's kind of the same as being here. Like I can go around campus and stuff, but.
Right. But no curfews necessarily.
Right.
Right. So when you come home, there are those kind of rules, right?
Yeah.
And is that difficult for you, or obviously it sounds like not, but
not again in this current situation when I had a significant other that lived a lot closer. Sure, it was an issue. But my current girlfriend lives in Arlington Heights. Like, I mean, that's where her parents lives, and she stays in Elmhurst right now. So I wouldn't be driving back and forth. Plus, if I do go out there, I can just stay there.
Right. But so, all right. So you would say for you that it's not that big of a difference when you come home.
Correct.
So you slide right in and, just be you.
Yes.
So what do you look forward to the most when you come home? Like, what's your favorite part about being home on breaks like this?
Well, it was going to be sleeping in my hammock, but again, I think I left it at school.
Can you not get back in now? Or are you completely locked out?
No, I can. I just didn't think of it when I was there.
So how long have you been sleeping in a hammock?
I think I did it for the majority of my senior year of high school, right?
I'm not sure. I didn't even remember if you came home last summer or not, so I might not be a reliable source for how long you've been sleeping in a hammock.
Yeah, I don't remember really either. I believe it was either during my senior year of high school or the summer after when I got the hammock.
I'm trying to remember. I felt like you and Owen both did it while you were still in high school, but maybe you didn't. I don't know.
Either way, then that would be like a year and a couple summers, a year and 2 summers maybe.
So one of the things you look forward to the most about coming home is to be able to sleep in your hammock.
Yes.
And you left your hammock at school.
Yeah.
So why did you have your hammock at school?
Because when it was still warmer, I would use it outdoors.
And like around campus?
Yeah.
Or so how would that work? Like, how can you just hang a hammock at campus?
Well, you got to find the right trees. But then the straps that I have, the way they work, they're just like a long, like 1 inch wide webbing strap, like nylon webbing, like the stuff we have for our kayaks.
Right.
And on one end, a closed loop is sewn, and the other end, there's nothing. So you'll put it around the trunk of the tree, run the non-looped end through the looped end, and then it just creates this kind of like cinched down. It's not like a knot, but it's like.
Right. It just basically
tightens onto
wrapped
the tree.
around the tree. Right.
Yeah. And then I have the, whatever, they're like friction locks, you put it in one way, put it through the other way, and then the pressure holds it in place wherever you tighten it.
So how did you find yourself wanting to even sleep in a hammock? How do they
can I like drop website names? Is that fine?
Yeah, oh God, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe they'll sponsor us someday. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I joined massdrop.com,
Right. Well, first of all, let's take a quick pause. There are no rules.
Okay.
You can curse if you need to.
Okay.
It's just this is regular. This goes out. People are going to get to know you. They know me. They know that I curse. Yeah, there's no restrictions on talking about websites and all that kind of stuff. So back to massdrop.com. What is Massdrop for people who don't know?
Yeah, so Massdrop is kind of this group purchasing website. So you can buy wholesale from manufacturers. And usually when you buy from a retailer, you pay a markup and things are more expensive. So Massdrop is kind of like a third party that puts I don't really know how to describe it, but they do wholesale purchases orders, right? And do bulk orders. Yeah. And basically skip the markup stuff. So there were these hammocks as one of the deal items, and if a certain number of people commit to buying it, you get it at a lower price, depending on how many extra people join the group. And so I wanted to get the hammock and I was trying to get more people to buy it. So I told Owen about it. And he was like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. I'll get one too. And
so you guys got them at the same time. I didn't even remember that part.
Yeah,
that's so
that
funny.
was how it happened.
Right.
We both had them because I talked him into it so we could get a lower price on the website. So yeah, I think originally I was interested in it for the outdoor use, not so much to sleep in every night, but the more and more I read into hammock camping and some of the forum discussions on just hammocks in general, people would talk about sleeping in them and equate it to an air mattress and how it kind of conforms to your spine and everything, or those purple mattresses or things they're making now. So they sink enough in the right spots, but then they're firm enough to support the arch of your back. Hammocks do that all naturally just through the tension of the fabric. So I thought it was pretty cool, and I gave it a shot once we got them, and I liked it.
That's right. So we hung it up in your bedroom pretty soon after you got them, right?
I think, yeah, maybe even before we got them.
So, all right. No, we didn't put the bolts in before you got them, did we? I think we talked about it, how it would work in your room.
We discussed it and
but we
figured out how high they had to go.
Right. So, do you think most houses you'd be able to anchor a hammock in your room? Because talk to people about,
sure.
Well, I think yes, most physical structures of houses maybe. I don't think if our house was a modern house, that
then
inside
I have studs in the walls and stuff.
They do, but they have 2x4s, I think, or 2x6s maybe. You're
yeah, but
yeah, but
I
you're
think
into
those are
a
only
big,
1/4-inch bolts,
right? But I think you're in a 4x. Yeah, but remember when we hung remember when we first hung the punching bag in the garage, and we hung it from the rafters?
Yeah.
And when you would hit it, it would shake the entire garage. Yes. Right. So in a newer house, I don't think that putting that, whatever that is, 1/4-inch lug or whatever it is, in a regular wall, like a drywall wall, I don't think that would work.
Oh.
I think it would eventually cause the wall to bow in. But also, I would say, I don't know how many parents would let their kids do that to their wall. True. Anyway.
Yeah, and I drilled an extra hole, so I just also have a 1/4-inch wide, 2-inch deep hole in one of the studs of my wall.
Well, you're definitely gonna have to fix that, the plaster part, before we move.
Oh yeah, okay. If you're gonna move, sure.
Yeah. All right, so you've got this hung up in your room, and the first. Now you're gonna make me edit. God damn it! I didn't want to edit. So anyway, all right. So you've got this so you hang it in your room the first night you slept in it. Were you oh?
To be honest, I don't really remember. I think it was probably more of just this is very interesting, and was not uncomfortable, So I tried it again, and then I just kept doing that, I guess. I slept in it all summer.
And you've done some overnights in it too, right? Outside. Obviously, when you sleep in your room, you're overnighting it all the time.
Yeah. I have only done one full overnight outdoors. But I've slept in it outdoors.
Right.
Not completely.
But did you get a netting for overnight, or?
I did. Yeah. When I went up to Michigan, the Sleeping Bear Sand Dunes, I bought a bug net. So you have to hang you have to put an extra tie line. I forget what it's called. I think it's a ridge line. You put a ridge line above the hammock,
which
and
just
that's
makes
what
it
you attach the net to.
kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Except the bug net doesn't go all the way down to the ground like a tarp would. It's like a sphere in itself. It's like an enclosure. And there's like a zipper you have to use to get into it.
Oh, okay,
so
okay,
it doesn't go all the way down to the ground.
Right.
It just kind of like meets underneath the hammock in the empty air.
So is camping something that you would consider like a lifetime hobby for you, or?
I think it could be. It's definitely not. I mean, I hated outdoor stuff we did when I was younger, for sure.
Right. That's what I was getting to. But you seem much more comfortable with outdoors now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think when I did this specific camping trip too, I had one of my really like I realized that I was into camping more so now. I had some of those like fears I had when I was younger. And then I think we've discussed this before, but then there were those sounds outside at night, and I was like a little freaked out by it. And so I kept like shining my flashlight, and it was two like field mice fucking jumping around and chasing.
But but stuff like that in a quiet camping setting sounds giant.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think when I was younger, I could put that together. I like always thought it must be something giant. And so when I finally like saw that and had that realization, everything kind of settled down.
Well, now, all right. So then fast forward to Yellowstone this summer, though. Like, even if it was tiny and sounded giant, I was freaked out because it always could have been giant.
True. Could have been those cows.
Well, yeah. But I mean, even a cow in the middle of the night would scare the crap out of you.
Yeah.
So that's so funny. All right. So we kind of got off on a little bit of a tangent there with the hammock, but we might come back to the whole hammock sleeping thing because that is an interesting, like, well, no, let's not leave it because we're going to stay here. So it doesn't hurt your back.
No.
I just don't get it.
Let me talk you through this. This is something that I've noticed as a drastic difference between sleeping on a mattress or just laying on a mattress and laying and sleeping in a hammock. Do you ever come to a point like where you lay in the same position so long a part of your body falls asleep?
No.
Oh.
I'm a very active sleeper.
Okay. Well, I'm not.
Or restless, sorry.
I think
you can't be restless in a hammock, can you?
Well, right. And I think that more so that speaks to me and why a hammock works for me. That's not like something that happens because of sleeping in a hammock. But when I like lay on my mattress at school or like lay on my mattress here for a long enough period of time, like one of my legs will fall asleep, because my weight is just a little imbalanced, like on my hip bone versus my other one, and like if I'm like kind of leaning on my left side, my left leg will fall asleep.
I don't know if that's normal.
Well, I don't either. Maybe it's not. But when I lay in a hammock, that doesn't happen to me.
Well, you should maybe talk to a doctor about that. If there's any chiropractors or mattress experts listening, hit me up at my email, bob@Baty-Barr.com, and let me know if my kid needs to seek medical attention.
Yeah, who knows?
So no neck, no back pain, no like I'd almost feel like my feet would fall asleep because I feel like your feet are higher than your head sometimes.
Okay. There is another
common misconception with.
Yes. So when I say hammock, what do you envision? Well, I guess, okay, this is probably a dumb question for you because you've seen our hammocks. But if I were to say a hammock, I'm imagining most people would envision like one of those nasty, like netting looking hammocks that has a spreader bar and you like hang it on a frame in your backyard. But fabric of the hammock, I think. So on those spreader bar hammocks, you end up in that V or like scooped shape the hammock makes no matter what. When you lay in these like gathered end hammocks, you have the ability to flatten or increase the angle that your body makes by like angling yourself in the hammock,
like turning diagonally.
Yeah. So like if you lay like flat in the middle of the hammock, your body will totally do that uncomfortable V thing, But if you like lay diagonally to either side, your feet and your head both kind of drop down and you're much closer to flat.
But in the mornings, like when I walk through Owen's room, which is a weird design flaw of our house, but anyway, that's another topic for another day. When I interview Owen and ask him how weird that is, I feel like he is doing that, or sometimes I feel like he's laying on his side, which would even like freak me out more.
He's weird.
Like
I think he is also
bends.
an active sleeper, and so he ends up in some weird positions. But I don't know, since I am not like I fall asleep on my back with my arms either like on my chest or like at my sides, and I'm laying pretty close to flat. I just wake up that way too.
I'll have to check that out because I don't believe it. I think you're lying.
Right.
So what is your least favorite part about coming home on these breaks?
I think I would have said the curfew if you asked me last year. I think in light of recent events tonight specifically, I would say having to unload the dishwasher.
So having real life regular people like responsibility is a drag. Is that what you're saying? Or
yeah, just like ones that I'm not used to. If you get in the rhythm of like chores and stuff, then it's fine. But
don't you have a rhythm of chores in your daily life? I mean, it might not be unloading the dishwasher, but there's got to be some kind of systemic like daily routine that involves like minutia and work that you wouldn't want to do.
Right. I mean, like getting dressed in the morning or...
Well, getting dressed in the morning is something that is actually just part of everyday life. Yeah.
No, at school, I really don't have a lot of like, I don't know, bullshit chores like that I have to do.
Right. But don't you think some of that contributes to structure? Like, I mean, if there's like, you don't clean your room ever at school?
I mean, when it gets to the point where like I feel it needs to be cleaned, yeah. But this is, and maybe if unloading the dishwasher was like, do it every Friday afternoon, sure, it would not be as like weird to me. But when I'm just like going about my day, like scrolling through Instagram or something, and mom's like, Josh, can you unload the utensils, please? And I'm like, I really don't want to, no, but I can't just say that, because she'll get mad and I'll sound like a dick. So I just pause my life and do what she wants me to do.
Okay, you pause your life for how long? How long would you say it takes to do that?
It took me like 90 seconds.
Right, so 90 seconds to unload the utensils, and then you immediately went back to scrolling through Instagram, or?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember.
All right, so would you say that you, true or false, have some trouble with structure, or?
It may be true, maybe false. I don't know.
So
probably true.
Well, all right. So let's just say, for sake of argument, that it is true. Why do you think that is?
I don't know.
Well,
it's kind of like do my own thing.
Wax nostalgic here. Like, let's explore.
I don't know what that means.
Well, just
wax
think
nostalgic.
Out loud. Just think out loud. Like,
okay.
Why do you think? Why do you think maybe structure is difficult for you?
I don't know. We had structure growing up here, I would say.
We tried.
Yeah.
But you never really dug it.
I never liked it. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe you could blame the Montessori school thing. There's not a lot of structure there.
Ooh, that's a good deep dive. Now, all right, you say that, but looking back, because hindsight is always 20/20.
Right.
If you look at that from an unbiased perspective, like pretend that you weren't there, but still look at the way that things went when you were there, would you say that there didn't have a lot of structure as a true statement?
It was not micromanaged structure, right, is the statement.
So it was macro structure.
Right. Like today at this time, we're going to be interested in math. And so you have a bunch of different math things that you can look at and like, here are some options. And if you're curious about this, do this. I don't know. Yeah, and you had to do it, I guess, but you could do it at your own pace.
But you just thought you were doing it at your own pace. There was an expectation of some kind of goal, correct?
I don't know. I was very young.
Well, knowing what you know about education, would you estimate that there was some kind of goal?
Yes, I would assume. Montessori schools are very different, though, in the way they're structured than public education. So I don't really know. I learned about the public side.
Well, all right. What do you think this is a whole different tangent. So do you think that public education is starting to adopt some of the successful aspects of Montessori, or would you say no?
I have no idea. I can't say either way.
You didn't experience Montessori-esque type things even late in your high school career where it was time to engage in some sort of activity, but there were multiple paths that you could engage in? Or was everybody doing the same exact thing?
No, everyone was doing the same thing.
All right. Very interesting. So in some of so you have friends that are in the education curriculum, right?
Yes.
So do you guys ever sit around and talk about, just educational concepts or theories or what's going to be happening, like what the classroom of the 21st century is going to look like? Or I guess we're in the 21st century.
Yeah.
The late 21st century.
No, I've never really had those conversations.
So how do those conversations go with your friends? Do you guys like talk about what you do kind of professionally? I mean, you're not really some of you are getting paid to go to school, but
yeah. I mean, sometimes it comes up, and more so when they're talking about like a specific concept that they've like been learning about, and then like they got to implement it, then they'll kind of chat about it. But no, there's not really any discussion about like how the classroom is and like how things are changing. And
I know that you switched your major because you were in music ed, correct?
Yeah, I was in music education,
but now you're doing music business.
Mm-hmm.
So what was some of the deciding factors to move away from the educational aspect?
I kind of lost touch with it coming out of high school. I thought, like band was the greatest thing I did in high school and marching band. And so I kind of wanted to continue that and maybe help some student have the same kind of experience that I had. But I don't think that is quite what teaching requires. I think there's like a whole nother level of caring. Yeah, I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but like wanting to help someone have my experience is not what teaching is about.
Right. That's more coaching.
Right.
Maybe mentoring. I don't know.
Maybe mentoring, but I don't know. On the topic of that, like I feel like mentoring, you eventually want them to like surpass you.
Yes, I think if you're a good mentor, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was that like needing that extra step that I didn't have, and then that caused me to kind of like lose interest in some of the material that would be relevant for someone who like has that drive to actually like teach children well. But I don't know. I wasn't feeling it.
So how did the transition to music business come about?
With being at Elmhurst, that's kind of the closest thing to what I am the most interested in. So I do a lot of audio engineering and recording stuff. I started it when I was in high school. I did an internship at a company called Waveform LLC here. It's like a small recording studio. I got put in touch with the owner by my band director at the time. And so that became like my main interest, I would say, the like recording and studio side. And then through work with Patrick, my boss there, I kind of got more interested in the live audio aspect. And so that's kind of like what I want to do, I guess.
So, okay. So that's your main, that's your main passion right now is live audio.
Yeah.
And so what does that look like? So is that concerts? Is that theatrical? Is that
could be anything. The theater stuff, this is a whole nother tangent. Let me answer your first question.
Okay.
Which was what? I don't even remember.
I don't either. So go tangent. So okay. The theatrical stuff.
So the concerts and the theatrical stuff is a whole nother level than what I've been doing with live concerts. For theaters, you have so many different like channels that you're managing. A lot of the time it's more so just like clicking through presets of like mics and effects and stuff for each scene, more so than like, I don't know, actually being dynamic and engaged.
And so theater doesn't have that dynamic and engaged, or?
I think it totally does, but it's more so in like the pre-production side of it.
Right. In the rehearsals leading up. So
right.
You know exactly what scenes to hit, what effects to play or add or layer or whatever you audio engineers say.
Yeah.
So then, so compare and contrast that with a live musical performance.
With the live musical performance of the size that I've been doing, you don't often have time to preset things like that. And you kind of just throw and go. If it were like a larger touring situation and you were like the engineer with a band for an extended period of time, then you would for sure have presets and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, but even so, like and I'm just throwing this out there, like with a Dave Matthews Band, like a jam band type situation. I mean, couldn't, even with years and years of rehearsal, isn't there always that, well, even with jazz, because you do the jazz sound, isn't there always that, you know, that improvisational aspect of it where, or is the solo always coming when the solo comes and it's always the same solo?
The solo is always coming when the solo comes, for sure. That's like a form thing that has to do with the song structure still. So the structure is always the same. It could be a different soloist for sure. But then that just kind of gets in, like, I don't know, mixing like volumes and stuff on faders you could do very dynamically, but your soloists and their instruments are always going to have the same like tone characteristics, and usually you'd use the same kind of microphones and you'd have the channels EQ'd the same kind of way. And that part wouldn't be so much like on the fly.
How about like vocal jazz though? Like that show that you did a month ago. Mm-hmm. Like, is that like crazy out of control? Is that like herding cats? Or
no, for that actually, since I do rehearse with them twice a week, that is much more so prepared. So I'll kind of like get everything spec'd out for the individual vocalists and EQ everything, and I can find my effects presets that I like, and I usually like, I can either remember when the solos are coming, or I am given a solo sheet and that will have specific soloists on it. So that's a little more structured even than the stuff I do with jazz band.
But like, what if performer B and C accidentally switch mics?
Well, we have a sound check in which they figure out which mic is whose. Usually that's like the first thing that happens. But if they do switch mics like mid-show or at intermission or something, then you just kind of remember it and figure it out. Yeah.
Sorry, pause for a drink. So, all right. So you're actively doing the sound engineering. What is the music business degree? Like, what is that layer on top of the engineering? Like, where does that fit in?
That fits in because that is the only major that is like in this kind of general area. So Elmhurst has a sound production minor.
So are you doing that?
Yes.
Okay.
But that is as deep as it gets in the realm of like recording and audio manipulation and that kind of thing. And I think there's like 4 classes to that minor.
You've already taken 1.
Yes.
Okay.
And so you can't just go to school for a minor,
right?
You know, so music business is kind of like the larger umbrella that fits underneath. So music business is what I chose for my major.
And so, like, how long till you finish that out?
Who knows? I'm kind of in the same spot as I was at the beginning of the semester, where I haven't exactly looked into the full pathway in my anticipated like graduation date after changing my major.
But don't you have a guidance counselor that would like kind of plan that out with you? Not for you, but with you?
Yeah, I have like an advisor, but you're only required to like meet with them in depth your freshman year. After that, it's kind of an option. You don't even like need to talk to them to get approved for enrollment or anything. You can just kind of sign up for classes. So.
Oh, sorry. We had somebody deliver some coconut water to our personality that's on air with us this evening. And there's your drink break. So you haven't really connected with the counselor. You don't really know what that path looks like.
Yeah, I had to speak with
advisor. Sorry,
the advisor. Yeah, I had to speak with my advisor for changing my major to kind of get like not so much approval, but like I had to find out about the music business major. You know, I didn't know much about it. So I met with Tim Hayes. He's the like director of the music business department. And we kind of talked through stuff. And then that was that. I registered for my first semester. He kind of helped make some recommendations, and that was it. We didn't look through the whole plan at all.
But you probably will though, right? Because you need to know what to take next, or do you know what you have to take?
Well, I have looked at the plan and I figured out what I need to take for next semester. Yeah.
And what are you taking next semester?
A lot of like part twos of classes. So I'm taking music business 2. I think it's called Advanced Studies in Music Business. I'm taking music history 2. I'm taking digital music 2 and production of sound recordings.
So is that production of sound recordings one of the 4?
That is one of the 4.
And then part 2 is one of the 4
digital
as
music
well.
2
right.
is part of the music business curriculum.
Oh, really?
I think.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So the minor is just part 1 of that class, digital music. Because you took digital music 1 this semester, right?
Yes, but I don't think that's a part of the minor.
Oh. That's just part of the business music major.
I believe so.
Okay, cool. And did you learn anything in the digital music 1 class?
Yeah, I did actually. I kind of learned some new workflow tricks and Pro Tools. And then we did a couple days on Finale, which I really have never used before. So that was interesting to learn about.
Is Finale the video editing, or is it Finale? No, Finale is
Finale is like a scoring.
Right?
Yeah. It's like a music notation software.
You had that for a while, didn't you?
We had Finale Notepad.
Oh.
Yeah, which is like the free version.
Oh, I thought I hooked you up with the full version for a while.
Maybe. I don't remember. Yeah,
right, so
I didn't know how to use it well at all when we had it.
So you did some scoring work in Finale?
Did some scoring work in Finale, yeah. So that was interesting. We also learned a program called Reason, which is like another...
Oh, yeah, that's where you chain together like...
Yeah, it's much more modeled after like hardware interfaces. Like you would actually have a rack of effects units and processors and stuff. So you get your rack display and then you can hit tab and like route everything with actual cables and stuff.
Friend of mine that used to work at Strang with us was big into Reason. He used to do a lot of music stuff with that. So I was exposed to that a while ago.
Nice.
So I guess one thing that we skipped over, so you have this affinity for sound engineering, but you also play an instrument that you get paid to play, correct?
Yes.
And what is that instrument?
The euphonium. It's a low brass horn. It's like a small tuba. It's in the tuba family. It plays in the same range as a trombone.
And you've been playing that since
5th grade.
5th grade.
Yeah.
So how many years is that?
8, maybe 9.
Would you say that you are adequate at that, or quite accomplished, or?
I would say like moderately accomplished. I'm definitely not like a virtuoso player or anything. But I play better than some of my peers at school. I'm like right in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you say you dedicate a lot of time and energy to that craft, or fairly naturally acquired talent?
Less than I would like to. Yeah. Most of where I have gotten today is just doing it when I wanted to do it. And I guess I would call it natural. Like I don't have a practice regimen or anything. Again, I hated that like required practice structure that I had in 5th and 6th grade.
But would you say that when you were in those periods of required practice and when you have dedicated yourself to that, would you say that you felt like you improved?
Yeah, I think putting in time on it would have improved me either way. I definitely could have improved much more if I had practiced much more.
Right.
But
how about like the difference between playing in your high school band versus playing in your collegiate band?
Just in general, or?
Yeah, like just talk about the differences between the two.
I mean, the difference in literature, sorry, I keep clicking that. The difference in literature for sure is much more difficult at the collegiate level, especially this past year. We have a new director, James Heil, and he likes to arrange stuff and is also more versed in like orchestral music. So a lot of the stuff we've been playing has been harder than stuff that I've even seen in my past 2 years of college. And like I'm in the same band, you know?
Right.
So usually you would expect like the ability level of an ensemble to be somewhat consistent. He's kind of like pushed the envelope and made us push ourselves. And I would like to say that we've gotten better in the past year.
When you say literature and when you're speaking of music, what is that like for our non-music listeners?
Same as literature is for everyone. It's just kind of like
So the writing.
the writing. Yeah. So like the pieces that we play, you call that literature.
Gotcha. So what about like the length of time that you play for a performance? Like the difference between high school and college?
In college, it's definitely a little longer of
I feel like it's a lot longer.
performances. Well, there's 2 bands at all those shows that you go to.
No,
as
but
well.
just like your individual set though. Well, when I go to a high school performance, trust me, there's way more than 2 bands.
Really?
But they only play like, I would say each band plays a maximum of 3 pieces, like 3 to 4 pieces. How many pieces do you play in a typical performance?
Like 6
Yeah.
to like 8.
You guys almost play a solid hour set
Mm-hmm.
as, you know, like your ensemble. So
I felt like we did that kind of stuff when I was high school. Maybe that's just kind of like you're in it and you're playing and it feels like a long time.
right.
But
I think it's when you go someplace and you say, oh, when I was a kid, this seemed much bigger.
yeah.
Yeah. So in high school, you were playing 3 or 4 songs and you were out. I mean,
Okay.
they were great, but not nearly the length, I'm always impressed with the stamina like the whole band has. I mean, first of all, that room is amazing for listening to performance. You guys always sound great. Yeah. You don't think it has good audio?
No, it's like it's the worst, man.
Really? I think it always just sounds so like warm and welcoming.
Well, yeah. That like the tone character sure is good. It's an okay space for that, but for clarity and like definition, we fight the room for sure.
Well, see, but when I listen to a band like that, I like it when there's like everything sounds like it blends together and nothing's standing out. But I mean, the solos, when like there's, what do you call it when multiple people play a solo, a soli, is that what it is? I mean, everything sounds great. So from an audience perspective, but once again, I'm not like a sound engineer. So have you done sound in that room?
No.
Because the jazz band doesn't typically perform
Oh,
in there.
wait. Yeah. For Jazz Fest. Yes,
Yeah.
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it hard?
Yeah, it's difficult again in the clarity aspect.
Where
I don't know.
is much more important in jazz, though. Clarity is super important in jazz.
Yes, but it's the same issue in the wind band stuff. You know, like you lose certain like effects that you can make with the music if you can't have like crisp, hard articulation and stuff. Because
everything sounds like reverb after a while.
Right. Yeah. And so if you're playing like a ballad or something, or like a big lush chorale in a wind band, sure, it's great. But if you're playing like a contemporary piece that's supposed to have a lot of like dissonance and like metallic sounds and like that kind of things, and you're trying to get like like anxious or aggressive feeling, you really can't in that room just because everything washes together and sounds smooth. So it's probably pleasing as a listener,
right?
Because some of that stuff, I'm sure, like sounds like shit to people who don't like appreciate it. That's probably the wrong way to say it. Sorry
no,
if I offend you.
There's some like discordant type stuff that I would say. It's like, man, if I was in it listening to it, I'd be like, skip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, so that's a really good tangent to go off on. So you have a love for a style of music that I just really cannot stand.
You're back to jazz.
Well, I'm back to very specific jazz stylings like the performances that you guys do at school. I love that kind of jazz. But what's the band that I can't stand?
I don't know. Snarky Puppy?
Yes.
No, really?
Do you not see me getting angry in the car when you're like, and I'm like, nope, no more songs. No. And like Snarky Puppy's banned on trips, as far as I'm concerned.
Man, I don't know. I don't get it.
All right. Well, then
every time you say it, I don't believe it's true.
No, I cannot trust this enough. It makes me want to kill people. So talk about what you love about that type of music.
I don't know. It gets me going, man.
You can't tap your foot to it. You can't sing along with it.
Yeah, you can. Just what do you mean?
All right, so everyone listening has to go out and listen to what Snarky Puppy would you recommend they listen to? Something that drives me crazy.
You probably like singers in your music, so you should probably check out either their album Family Dinner Volume 1 or Volume 2. They're 2 separate albums.
Right. So I don't like the stuff with the not singing. So what's a good not singing?
Silva, I think it is.
All right, so
That's
everyone,
a good one. Yeah,
everyone check
Silva.
that out and let me know your thoughts
It's
on
red.
Snarky
It looks like
Puppy.
a forest on the cover. Yeah, it's the album art.
So no, seriously, what is it about that music that like is enjoyable to you?
All the different instrumentation, the different like feelings you get from each song. They're very like transformative, like from beginning to end, you know, like it'll start in one place and like go to 6 different places and then like maybe end back in the same spot as the beginning to give it kind of this like closed circle kind of feeling. Or like sometimes you don't even get that and it's just like one long idea.
Exactly. You know? One long rambling fucked up idea. Alexa, I wasn't even talking to you. So God, she gets on every podcast.
Oops, I thought I heard my name.
Nope, you did not.
Well, you did after you said it to her.
So she's been the most recurring guest on the podcast, that and Neelix the cat. That's a whole nother reference.
What?
Yeah, I'll tell you about it when we're done.
Okay.
All right, so back to Snarky Puppy. So you're talking about this. Sometimes it's just one rambling idea.
Yeah, just like a string of ideas.
Right. So would you say that music is highly structured or not highly structured?
You and the structure. Man, that's so hard to answer because in terms of form, no, it's probably more loosely structured because you go from like section to section and like, I don't know, different ideas, but underneath it all, like the chord progressions and everything that make up those changes are super structured. And even the relationship between one section to another, that is probably like very mathematically related as to like why the writer intended it to go there and like why it feels like it should.
See, I feel like
I don't know.
The music of Snarky Puppy is if somebody turned the numeric expression of pi into a song. Because yes, it repeats, but it just feels like it never does. It's just like oh my God. I mean, it's just like it just
that's what makes it interesting though.
I don't know, I guess. But it's interesting that I equate it with non-structured, and you will give it non-structured at the cusp, but then you get down to the hyper like mathematical analysis, and then it is like incredibly structured, and that I just can't. It's not melodic to me. I guess I like melodic music. I don't know.
There's a lot of melodic jazz. A lot of Puppy stuff is melodic.
Not the stuff that you've played for us in cars on long trips.
I'll play you more. I'll play you some after this.
All right,
I'll change your mind.
Well, not after this. I don't think I can handle it tonight.
Okay.
All right. So where do you picture this music stuff going for you, like after school? Like what's next for you in music?
Great question. As it happens right now, I am hoping to start working in Chicago in January. A friend of mine who graduated from Elmhurst works for a production company, and he just introduced me via email to their boss. And they're looking for people to help on their sound crew. And so getting my foot in the door hopefully will lead to some kind of like phone call interview or like in-person kind of meeting thing. And I don't know, my experience, I think, should be enough to get me on their staff.
So do you do you submit a demo tape for a job like that? Like, how do you, like, what's the portfolio look like for someone trying to get a job as a sound engineer?
Honestly, I have no idea because I've never done it before. I still have to look into it. I would assume that if it does go far enough, I would just kind of put together a resume of like all the experience I have in live engineering and probably put some of my studio stuff on it just for background. But then I don't know, since that's primarily like a skill based.
Right. Now, do you think there'd be like an audition or
maybe, or I would probably like shadow and like maybe get hands on and they would kind of like judge my skill level. That's what I'm kind of guessing is what will happen.
And what kind of live performance stuff does this company do?
I think that their founder was originally like a wedding planner. And then she kind of moved into doing like entertainment for weddings and then entertainment in general. So I think they're like event coordinators, and they will also provide like music.
So do you think it's mostly weddings, or is it actually for bands? Or I mean, wedding bands versus like
I think it's mostly like
outside
weddings and
performances.
corporate stuff.
Okay,
It's
so
not
corporate
like
event.
a musical event that they do.
Oh, so it's like speaker one and then backing soundtrack and transitions between speakers and
Yes,
things like that?
and then I think a dance band. Like they will do the whole event. So yeah, you got the grueling corporate stuff, or like 2 wireless mics for toasts and stuff. But then like as the evening progresses, they bring in their own musicians that are a part of their production company.
Oh, so
And
they provide a whole
so they have like
package.
4 bands, but they all like I said, it's like an event company that provides entertainment as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I think like was just saying, they have 4 different groups, and you can kind of like mix and match components of different groups and stuff too. Like you can have a stripped down group, or you can have like a full ensemble with horn sections and rhythm section, or you can just have maybe like 4 vocalists or something.
So at this early stage, or just like at this stage, what does a career in that field look like?
I don't know. In live stuff, it would be eventually moving up to being with like a big name touring group. And so then you would basically like get paid either probably on salary to be a part of an ensemble, and you are like their dedicated engineer, and you sit through rehearsals and stuff with them. You do their shows every night. You become like a part of their group.
So is that a car, house, wife, dog kind of life, or is that not? I mean, like, is that transient? Is that, you have a home base and then you're on the road for 200 days a year, or what? I mean, like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think it would be much more so be the have a home base and on the road like 180, 200 days out of the year kind of deal. Because usually you're not with like 2 groups, or at least not at the same time. I don't know. You can like be an engineer for one group and then like eventually become the engineer for a different group, I think. But you wouldn't do like 2 tours, like 2 separate tours usually.
Right. No, I don't think you could, because they wouldn't follow the same schedule.
Right.
No, or any thoughts or appeal to something like what Pat has going on? Or, sorry, you refer to him as Patrick. Do you call him Patrick or Pat?
I call him Pat.
Okay. So any like appeal or thought to do something like that where you have your own recording studio, or?
Potentially. I don't know. His whole thing, that's also very weird, because it's technically like a multimedia company, and we do a lot of like live event stuff as well. I don't think I would want to try and cover every aspect like that. I would either want to do like a production company kind of thing where you like help put on live events, or just have like a studio. I think he does a lot of different things, and it's just too much for me. I'm not built like that.
Now we're going to jump all over the place. How did your speaker project go? Your marketing?
What?
Didn't you do a product marketing thing for school for wireless speakers?
Yes.
Performance speakers?
Yeah.
So how did that go?
Went fine. It was interesting. Not a lot of it was based around like actual product development and specifics. It was more so just like, come up with your product, give us a little bit of details, and then like find out all about your target market and do like a marketing mix and stuff. And
so what was your product idea again?
Like a line array style wireless speaker.
But for performance again, or does that?
Well, the line array style,
okay.
Those are like
I don't
speak
that language.
Yeah,
so.
there's specific like models of like a speaker cabinet that are meant to be arrayed, like put in series. Usually you can have anywhere from like 2 for like a small ground stacked array to like 38 for like a big arena show. And so I don't know, it was just for like the individual module.
And that was that based on any kind of reality, or was that just like going crazy?
Yeah, people kind of do the wireless thing for like delay speakers usually. If you have like a very large room, you would have like your main front of house stuff at the stage, and then where that stops, like throwing enough sound pressure to cover the full audience, you would put another set of smaller delayed speakers. And so you like time align those so that the sound waves arrive at the same time.
Right, they're almost like rebroadcasting at that point. Well, not rebroadcasting. Though.
It's the same signal. You just put like a digital delay of like 3 to probably like 10 milliseconds. Right.
So the wall of sound hits the secondary speakers and it just kind of carries on past.
And then it would add to there. Yeah. And so usually for delay speakers, they'll like wire a microphone, like a wireless microphone, like transmitter and receiver in reverse. So you would put the transmitter on like an audio output from the console. Then you put like the receiver as the input for the speaker.
And just that alone does the delay, or you'd delay?
The consoles usually have
Well,
delay.
So
you can delay specific outputs from the console. Yeah, so that's cool, but it's a bunch of extra equipment, and I don't know. It's really even not a bunch of extra equipment. I just thought it would be cool if it was all integrated. So that was my idea.
Well, so you should probably keep that around and keep putting thought to that and see if it could be a reality.
Maybe I feel like the issue why people don't usually do it for like large systems is redundancy and
single point
like
of failure.
Integrity. Yeah. Okay. So usually even with wired stuff, you have like 2 sets of like power amplifiers and like an extra set of audio feeds. You know, just in case one hardwired feed fails, you have another hardwired one. So if you were doing wireless stuff, you'd probably still have a hardwired feed anyway.
Right. So when you do gigs now, do you have like redundancies in place, or do you just, do you not have enough equipment?
No, we do not, because we just don't have enough equipment for that.
Is that true both at Elmhurst and with Waveform?
Yeah.
So
for Waveform, we did
south.
Well, not for Jazz Fest. That's different because John Bourne, the guy, he's like a big, I don't know, like he knows what he's doing and he makes it a point to do it right. So we do have redundancy for Jazz Fest.
So is that an outside vendor that's doing Jazz Fest then, or is that still all okay?
No, he has his actual own company, and he's a third-party vendor through the college that gets hired to do that. And then he just kind of like mentors the kids who are interested.
Cool.
So it's neat. And that's all rented gear as well.
Right.
That he rents.
So you have the ability to get more equipment to have those redundancies in place.
Yeah.
But with like Pat, it's just it either works or it doesn't.
Yeah. There was one, I forget what gig it was, where we actually wired it. So we had a redundancy. I don't remember what it was though. I think it might have been for
the gala?
No, the thing we did in Aurora,
Fest?
It was
for the chamber.
Leland Fest. Yeah.
Was that for the city? Did you do that for the Main Street?
No,
people?
It was actually Leland Tower. You know, it was over there. I just mentioned it when we were looking at the Aurora Snow Globe the other night. Yeah. So Leland Tower is one of it's like the biggest like apartment building over there, I think.
Oh, that's an apartment.
And yeah, it's apartments now. I don't remember what it used to be, but on the top level, the penthouse used to be a recording studio, and a lot of like famous blues albums were recorded there.
I had no idea.
Yeah. And so the current owners wanted to kind of like pay it back and give homage to the like music and blues community that was a big part of Leland Tower. And so they put this like Leland Fest thing on, which was a blues music festival. And
is that going to be an annual gig or?
It was intended to be annual. And then there was a big like falling out with the Leland property people and the restaurant and something. And it's probably not going to be happening ever again. Yeah.
That's too bad.
There was some drama that happened. So yeah, but that was cool. And I think since that was the biggest thing we've ever done for sure. And so we ran a redundancy there.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's too bad it's not going to happen again though.
Yeah. We'll see though. Cause I don't know if you've been reading articles, the Fox Valley Music Foundation, I think.
Yeah. Kiss the Sky guy is ahead of that.
Yes. They just got a big grant to build like a live music venue in downtown Aurora.
I wish it was happening here. Grr.
Aurora's bigger,
much bigger city.
Yeah. It's not that far though.
No, I know.
But since Steve from Kiss the Sky is like on the board with them, he has reached out to Pat to kind of be like the audio consultant for the whole like planning, and yeah.
He's going to need your help.
Yeah, that's the hope.
When is that supposed to kick off?
I'm not sure.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I think in the next year or two.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about related to music? Because I'm going to ask a couple different questions.
Oh yeah, that's fine. We've gone on so many tangents so far.
No, that's cool though. I think a lot of people will get a lot out of that. That hopefully there's people out there that understand music more than I do. So these are kind of bigger questions. So, in your 20 years so far, what have been some of your biggest challenges? Like one of the like tough moments in your life that you had to overcome or figure out a way to manage?
I don't know, man. The structure and organization for sure. I'll concede to it now that you've brought it up every 10 minutes or so. And I've noticed a pattern that I kind of have to like actually fail in some way for me to like grasp a concept, and like it totally has to do with just like me wanting to do my own thing, I think.
Yeah, but I would say that's not uncommon, that statement that you just made. I mean, everyone has to fail. Like if you're not failing, you're actually not trying hard enough, in my opinion. So,
well,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's a whole nother realm though. I'm talking about like in terms of like organizing stuff. And I'm like, oh, I don't need to like do this specific known method to stay on like top of my shit. And then like, I don't stay on top of it. And I'm like, man, I really should have tried like that method. And then I'll do it and I'll be like, oh yeah, this works great. But I just don't want to do it at first. So I don't. And then like, it just gets fucked up.
But how's your whiteboard working out for you?
That's working fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't know you were even using it.
No, yeah. I have gotten into it and I've made it a habit because it works. And without it, it really wasn't working out so hot. I think Allie might even buy me a planner for Christmas. Maybe I'll start using a planner.
Owen was actually talking about getting one of those too for scheduling.
Because one of my things, like I use my Outlook calendar pretty religiously, and that's fine for like meeting times and remembering like events that I have to do, but I don't put like exam dates or like
OneNote. Telling you. I mean, I don't know if you can tie it to calendar events
for like lists.
It's for anything.
Yeah, I use OneNote for like actual class notes and like I don't know. It's just my cloud like text storage.
Right, but don't you? So you're going to carry a paper planner?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. I mean, I guess analog works for some people.
Okay, no. So I thought that digital would work, and I make to-do lists for all my classes, and like the way I have my OneNote stuff organized. So like I have a notebook for Elmhurst, and I have a notebook for my personal stuff, and a notebook for like my old high school stuff. And then I have all my tabs for Elmhurst from like my sections range from another personal tab, like a music tab, one for every class that I've had, like Office of Residence Life tab for my RA stuff. And then like the note at the top of each section, I always keep it there as like to do. Right. And I'll put in like stuff I have coming up, or like if there's homework, I'll like try and put it in there. But it's such a pain to like go in and type it in on my phone, or like remember to type it in on my laptop, or like check it.
I think you could do it with audios too, though. Like
I think so.
Text to speech, speech to text.
Well, yeah, but if I'm like sitting in class and my teacher's telling us homework, right. I want to be like, OneNote, like this assignment's due this day, and then it'll probably not get every single word that I say correct, so I'll have to edit it anyway. And I'm not
poo-pooing the physical planner. I'm just trying to figure out how that works for you.
Well, right. No, and this is my explanation, because I have tried it and it doesn't work, and I've had some setbacks because of it. And so I think that I've seen people be successful in their experience with like paper planners multiple times. I know a bunch of people that use them and it works for them. So hopefully it'll work for me.
So do you think you'll reach out to them and ask for like their pointers and like where their pitfalls?
I'm going to talk to Allie all about it.
Oh, so Allie's a digital or a physical planner.
She's a paper planner person.
Oh, okay. So we haven't talked about your relationships much.
Yeah, I know. I saw you type it on your notes and then delete it.
Oh, I did actually. You're right. So how is this relationship with Allie different than the others?
I don't know. It's a lot more laid back, which is very much my speed. I don't know. I just feel like both of my previous like long-term relationships were kind of like young, just in the sense of like everything that happened, the way things like interacted. This time I'm doing my own thing, and I don't so much worry about like I have to work towards this. And Allie's kind of doing her own thing. And then like, I don't know.
So do you feel
it's laid back.
Do you feel like Allie makes you a better you?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know, like this whole proponent of the physical planner, that's kind of like the upfront thing that we've been talking about. I don't know. I don't know specifics.
Do you guys find yourselves working together to make things happen and work instead of one driving the bus and the other one just going along for the ride? Or I'm putting words in your mouth to try to spawn conversation.
Yeah, I would say so. I can't think of any specific examples offhand. I don't know. Because I feel like a part of it, and the reason this has worked so well, is that they're like it's two separate individuals.
Right.
Like all my other stuff was like music was the core thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, kind of. Like, I don't know, man. It's weird to describe.
Yeah, we might have to come do this again just to talk about that relationship aspect of it. Because I think it's an interesting conversation because you're saying things that I didn't think of with the whole like music being part of it. Well, that couldn't have been that way. I mean, I guess that's where the other one started.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I don't think it had to be like an explicit thing that was always like the focus, but kind of like what I said a minute ago, Allie kind of does her own thing in music ed world and like is doing like other things throughout her day. And I kind of get to do my own thing. I don't know. It's kind of weird, but it's good.
Yeah, relationships are kind of weird. So I'll let you get away with that one. So on the flip side of, well, I guess we talked about biggest challenges. How about like, what are some of the most proud moments or like the highest highs you've had thus far in your 20 years of existence? Like, what are some highlight moments?
Accomplishments, I guess.
Like, what kind of accomplishments?
Doing stuff with Pat, like every good show that we've had, every successful thing, I'd say is kind of like a high point for me. Being auditioning into the wind ensemble at Elmhurst every year so far has been nice.
So do you have to re-audition for your spot every year?
Yeah, every year. And this year, it's every semester. So
you have another audition, or you already had it?
No, we will have another one. So since January is J-term, this weird gap thing that's like not a requirement, and you just take like one offshoot class. We're going to have the whole month of January to prepare, and then auditions are going to happen the first day of rehearsal when we come back for the spring semester.
And did you bring your horn home?
No, because I'm going back for J-term.
Okay. Oh, you're going to live on campus for J-term.
Yeah, I'm taking a class 4 days a week.
Okay. All right. See, I don't even know when my boy's going to be home and when he's not. So for this audition, does that determine your scholarship maintenance or not? Or
no, the only condition of my scholarship is that I have to play in the band program.
So it could be the second band even.
Yeah, I could be in the second band still.
But you'd have to tumble pretty far for that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because are you top in, like you have a community band? It's like a mix of students and community, right? What do you call that?
I don't know.
But you have community
members.
Right.
Yeah, it's just the Elmhurst College Wind Ensemble. A community band usually means like
all right,
only people from the community.
But you're the top student player in your section though, right?
I was up until this year, yeah.
Oh, new freshman knocked you off your pedestal?
No, actually another kid switched over from trumpet. Yeah.
A trumpet player knocked you off? Oh, yeah. That's got to be tough.
It's technical ability, man. Like I said, it's back to the practice thing. If I had put in my time on fundamentals and stuff, or if I still put in my time, which I just never really have. So maybe I would be at that level, but trumpet's much more competitive than euphonium, and to get this far as a trumpet player, you kind of have to do all that stuff. So yeah, he's just much more technically.
And in the grand scheme of things, playing the euphonium in that band is probably not a top priority for your life right now.
Correct.
So what are those other things that are taking top priority over that?
Trying to get more like time in audio engineering, like trying to find this thing in Chicago. I don't know. That's just like.
But I've sensed that you've said that I feel like in conversations you've had not on this podcast that you might be growing out of it. Like you've talked about even selling your horn.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because I think I'm connected to music in more ways now than I was when I was in middle school and high school, you know, like band was the only way music was a part of my curricular day. But now I have jazz band rehearsals that I go to. I have vocal jazz stuff where I actually get to go like mix them 2 days a week. And like, I love to play, sure. So I'll probably continue to do it, but it's not like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's not a passion of mine because I still definitely like enjoy playing and I'm passionate about it, but that's not like what I want to work towards. You know, I go to rehearsal and I play in rehearsal and I practice maybe an hour a week.
Right. You just fulfill your obligation.
Yeah.
Right.
I fulfill the obligation and I have fun while I'm doing it. But like other people who want to do that and that's like their top thing, they'll practice like 20 hours a week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you think you're playing right now with players who will play after college?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good. Because there's some really awesome musicians in that band.
There's a lot of performance majors in the band too. And if like, I don't know, performance majors are just going to school to play and be professional performers.
Now I heard a rumor that you were asked to do some music for a podcast. How's that going?
Yeah. I kind of said I was going to put it off until I was home for break, and I guess I'm home for break now. So
yeah. All right. So we are an hour and 8 minutes into this. How was it?
It was good. Didn't really feel like an hour and 8 minutes.
Right.
So
nice conversation. So the last thing that I ask everyone when they're on the show, because you should know this because you've listened to all the podcast, chuckle, chuckle, chuckle. I ask, who is someone that we both know that you think would be good on the podcast?
Oh, that's a good ending question, man. Pat.
You think? I think Pat would be good.
Yeah.
Be a lot of yeah buddies and we'd have a good time.
Yeah, he's got so much.
All right. I think that's a very solid recommendation.
Oh, yeah.
And I like it because actually, maybe we can record it in his studio and see how we could do with really good sound.
Yeah, you could. Actually, there was a woman that was going to rent out his front room like once a week for a podcasting thing. And I don't remember if that ever went through or not, but.
Very interesting.
I mean.
Yeah. That's very interesting. All right.
That'd be cool if you're going to do like a video podcast because you could kind of maybe have some kind of actual sound stage or.
Well, I do a video podcast on Monday mornings. We go live on YouTube. Me and Kevin, the Bob and Kevin Show.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you've watched all the episodes of that too.
I've watched one.
Ah, right. That's better than the podcast then. All right, Josh, thanks for being on. I also give my guests every week the opportunity to end it with some closing remarks. Got anything you want to close out with, or you just want to say good night to everyone?
I'll say sorry that it went on so many tangents. I know you kind of had a structure that you maybe wanted to follow, but
I had everything.
Felt very natural.
We covered everything but being an RA, so I think we did really well.
All
so
right.
Thanks for being on, and I always reserve the right to call back a witness, so maybe we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, I'll do it again for sure.
All right. Have a great night, everybody. All right, so that was a pretty cool episode with Josh, my oldest son. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And I guess this is probably an appropriate time since we're just a few days away from the Christmas holiday to say Merry Christmas to everyone. And hopefully you'll tune in next week for my guest next Thursday. Big thanks to the sponsors of the podcast, socialimposter.com, and also the Bob and Kevin Show, featured every Monday morning except for Christmas morning on YouTube. So check us out. Thanks and have a great week.